Danny, Marcus Rashford, Solskjaer spoke over the weekend about Rashford. And Rashford, of course, we now know, Solskjaer admitted that Rashford struggles to complete 90 minutes. He said that back in April after he hit a pain threshold around 60 to 70 minutes into a game. And now Ole's been saying over the weekend, look, it's really down to him. He says they're allowing Rashford to go away now, reflect on what happens next, and then we'll all find out if Marcus Rashford can no longer play through the pain barrier. I mean, it begs the question, again, you played the game at the highest level. Who should be the one to make the ultimate decision on this one when it comes to you pulling out of playing? Should it be medics, the manager, the player himself? Looks like the player himself here with his medics.
It's a difficult discussion because it depends on where you're at in your career and also the level of... Obviously, Man United have got a fantastic medical team, so you'd be listening to them. In your younger years in football, you're completely, you're clueless about the physical aspect of your body and injuries and stuff like that because you're fresh and you haven't. Well, most young players haven't had too many, so you put all your trust in the club you're at, of course, and you learn as you go. I think it's a mixture. I think it's. The management, player and medical staff generally have conversations about most injuries on the right avenue to take. Some injuries are very simple. There's only one option. You have to have an operation or you have to take this. You have to do this. You have to do that. Some are more difficult. I had one where I've never had an operation, but I was at Fulham and the specialist said that I should. But my doctor at the club was suggesting another way, natural, just to let it heal itself.
Yeah.
And it was half the time out. And then it was down to me. But I was in my 30s then, and I was captain, and then they gave me that choice. They gave me that freedom to make that choice.
Right.
Whereas if you're 21, I don't think they would have.
But there is another significant opinion that has to be sought and part of the equation, which is the owner of the football club. Because whilst he can't Hippocratically supersede the medical advice, if a player isn't fit for purpose as a result of an injury or a need to have an operation, it can't just be the player's decision. No. He can make that decision because it's his body, and you can't tell somebody, well, except in society, you can put vaccines in your body, you can be told by people, but you can't be told by somebody what you can do with your body, right? But if you're not fit for purpose as a result of it, and you're drawing £150,000 a week, £7.5 million a year, there is a third conversation that needs to happen, which is between the chief executive, the owner, the medical team, and the player, which is basically you can't perform at a level. And people are universally saying, I think, that Rashford has been impacted all season by this shoulder. And there's a challenge behind his ability to be able to perform. We're talking about pain thresholds, which is the player's individual ability to be able to cope with the pain. But if you're moving into the territory where his ability to cope with the pain then reduces his performance on the pitch, then the employer has a right to say, okay, well, here we are now. We've got to make a decision. And it's in part, it can't be the employer's gift. I'm not getting into the mill baron territory of everybody's a slave and should do as they're told. But you are in a situation where it is a fundamental right to say you can't perform.
Yes.
So what we're going to do about that?
I agree.
And you don't get to sit there and pontificate on it.
No, I agree. I agree.
So that's another part of the equation that needs to be considered. And if this player, I'm not sure that this is the right methodology being deployed here. I think the club should be putting downward pressure on him to say clinically you've been evaluated as having a serious problem. It's not going to correct itself.
Yeah,
you're going to have surgery.
It
can't really be your decision when you have that surgery.
No.
With respect, because unless you want to forego your salary whilst you're making that decision, then you can do it on your own watch.
Yeah.
Right. But when you're doing it on my dime, in my time, we have to have a frank exchange of views, which basically says, young man, you need this surgery. You're going to have this surgery. Here's a window that we agree upon that you're going to have it in. Go pick the date the surgeon and where you want it done and how you want it done, because we're going to pay for it for you.
I think what comes out of this is that Manchester United don't want to be seen to be pushing him towards a surgery direction.
Well, it shouldn't even be in the public domain. This should be so black and white in terms of it either needs surgery or it doesn't. The one where it gets into a grey area is when you go, right, you've got this problem. And actually, medically, they're saying she doesn't need surgery. And surgery is really intrusive and can cause more problems.
Any invasive surgery you don't want.
So actually, how bad is the pain? And that's a very individual thing. Can you play through it? It's not going to degenerate. The muscles aren't going to
That's
degenerate.
the thing. He's been playing through it.
But nobody,
his performance has been good this season.
But nobody will want. No club owner will want their player going for surgery because there's no benefit for him to being surgery. So no one's going to push you into surgery.
But they don't want a player who can only play 70
surgery
minutes.
is the only outcome. If you're sat there after having your first opinion, your second opinion, your third opinion, you've gone through all the Hippocratic procedures to get to a point where it's undeniable that surgery is required to rehabilitate, to fix the issue, and there's no other way of doing it. It ain't a debate.
Yeah.
It isn't a discussion process. You either go and have the surgery or we're going to have a problem because you can't deliver on your side of the bargain, which is being fit to play.
Yeah, what you said earlier is right. I'll just give you an example. So at Fulham, Jim, we had Al Fayed was the owner.
Yep.
And the specialist I was talking about, he wasn't involved day to day at the club. You had to go and see him because Al Fayed made that rule.
Yeah.
So if there was a question mark over surgery or not, whether to do it, and you'd have
Right.
to go to him.
Right.
He would assess you with the club doctor and the physio, and then you'd have to present a really strong argument for him to then go to Al Fayed and say, yes, okay, you don't have to have the surgery.
I'm with you. So, I mean, it was
Which
interesting.
seemed a bit draconian, but actually, now, when you think about it, it's
It's right. Yeah, it's a way
Solskjaer
of
on
measuring
this
it.
subject about Rashford was certainly short and sweet. This is actually what he said about it.
At the moment, he's away. We're reflecting. We have to make the best decision for him what to do with his injury.
Okay, so still don't know how long
Still
he
not
may be out.
decided what's the course of action now.
strange.
And that's it, isn't it? I mean, we still haven't decided what the best course of action is. So he's away at the moment, and we know that surgery would keep him out until October.
Yeah, but if they were 100% convinced he needed surgery, it'd be done the day he finished. The day he finished the Euro.
You would think so.
Well,
yeah.
I would, because you want to be back.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But in this modern day, where with the greatest one in the world, and I don't want it to sound like I've got some bitter agenda, they do what they want. They'll be off doing precisely what they want, and you'll listen to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being merely mouthed about it, because if they're discussing the need for surgery, then there's a distinct possibility he needs surgery. Otherwise, why has it found itself in the public domain? He doesn't want to go against the player. He doesn't want to appear to be telling the player what to do. What really should be happening is the players shouldn't be in Turks or wherever he is. He should probably be here now, killing or curing the problem, i.e. disclosure from the club, he don't need surgery, so he can go where he wants, or he does need surgery, he's had it, and now he's laying on the beach rehabilitating. But they do what they want, because people are frightened to say something to the players, frightened to pull them up, frightened to put them in their place.
There must be a plan in
Well,
place.
you
You're talking about Manchester United Football Club. There must be a plan.
What do you mean they do what they want, Simon? Who does what they
What
want?
he's talking about is players saying, well, I'll have a couple of weeks before I make that decision. And maybe
Can you
you're
see
right.
Rashford saying that?
Yeah. I can see players doing precisely what they want to do, which is basically...
There's no suggestion of it.
No, I could see the managers. I could see the managers saying, "Go and have a break. Go and have a couple of weeks off. Come back in, and we'll make a decision." But that's
It sounds more like that.
In an ideal world, if Manchester United, if he was needing surgery, then Man United should have pulled him out of the England camp and potentially said to him, "You need surgery then." But probably the player said, "Well, hold on just a minute here.
I'm all right.
I want to play for England."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then after the break, now, hold on. What about surgery now? Well, no, let me have a break. I've just played for England. So the club is getting pushed back further down the line. And I'm not just wearing the club hat. I'm just trying to get context into a conversation to say that if he needs surgery, it shouldn't just be the waffling manager saying, I don't want to lose favour with the player, and the player being able to do what he wants. There should be a group of people around a table going, is it surgery that's needed? Yes, it is. Have we agreed upon that? Have we done all of our diligence? Yes, we have. Get under the knife, son. Sorry, it's not ideal for you or I.
Then have a break. Yeah.
All roads lead to that, it would seem, doesn't it? Because he's played through a pain threshold for so long.
Yeah.
But it's got to change
Well,
somewhere.
because,
so,
yeah, but
You would
we have
think.
this news cycle that Simon loves, the 24-hour news cycle. It's the same in football. We have to create stories. Maybe there's not much of a story there. Maybe it does need just a bit of rest. Maybe
But it has been spoken about. In fairness to the subject matter,
but
we've been
he's had a
talking
great
about
season.
Rashford being
It hasn't
impacted.
really held hold.
Yeah.
But we've been talking about him being impacted for some time. And if you look at his season, right? If
It
you
did-
look at the
it
back
did-
end of this season,
yeah.
it wasn't as good as the front
No.
end of the
Yeah.
season. So clearly there's some sort of deterioration. So it's not
Make
necessarily
sure
wrong
you
thing
clip
to talk
that up, boys. In fairness to the subject matter, did
Yeah,
you
of
get
course.
it?
It's called balance,
10:58.
Jimbo.
Balance. There
Balance.
you go. Yeah, your balance might come into question in a moment when I come round that side of the desk. Coming up to 11 o'clock.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.